A storm is coming, as Jade Cargill's theme might say, but boy, has the wrestling world been turned upside down over the past week or so. Hello, everyone, and welcome to BunkaMania, the official wrestling podcast of Bunkazilla UK. You join us as we are taping this live on Twitch on Wednesday, the 23rd of February. I am Jeremy Graves, and of course, I cannot do this alone. So please give a nice warm welcome to my cohort in crime, my tag team partner each and every time, the Dekker Dane, Mr. Iain Boulton. Good sir, how are you doing today?
I am doing lovely as always. I've come back from a holiday and I didn't get caught up in a storm, which is a good thing. But I also managed to enjoy the wonderful beverage that is the Bud Light seltzer from the Great American Bash episode we talked about many months ago last year, and for all different purposes, a dog has just come into the room, which is nice. Hello. Well, I can't. For the benefit of our audio listeners, a dog we're looking after called Bella. She's just skipped into the room, looking somewhat perturbed and lost. Family members are downstairs, so hopefully she will go back and see them in a second.
Well, you know what, good sir?
But she doesn't bark, so it's fine.
There you go. I was going to say, while you are attending to the wonderful doggo, I shall quickly do a little bit of housekeeping, if you will. As mentioned, we are taping this show live on Twitch currently at the time of recording. If you would like to, you can give us a follow there if you'd like to be notified of future Bunkazilla UK broadcasts. Also worth noting as well that you can support us here on Twitch as well by subscribing, where you can get yourself some fun emotes, and every little helps when it comes to the channel. If you are watching the video replay, or a portion of the replay as we like to sometimes throw out there, on the Bunkazilla UK YouTube channel, make sure you give us a thumbs up and a like, also a subscribe if you feel so inclined. And of course, big shout out to all of our audio podcast listeners there, be you listening on the likes of Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Google, insert other name of podcast platform I've not thought of off the top of my head right here. Very much appreciate you taking the time to download, and we hope you enjoy this edition of the show as well. While you're at it, why not tell a friend about our show? We would really appreciate it if you did. Good sir. It's been a couple of weeks since we last had a chance to do a show. Variety of reasons that have come up and whatnot.
Obviously.
I think it's fair to say a lot's happened.
A lot has definitely happened, and I'm just because I went off on a random tangent about the Bud Alcoholic Light Seltzer before we were charmingly interrupted by Bella, who is still kind of just scouting around, but she's not doing any harm at all. So
is Bella the official doggo of Bunkazilla?
There are many doggos that come into this house, so one of many official doggos. But she's being good. She's not making noise. She's not jumping around. She's a good girl. Good doggo. But yeah, I was saying about the Bud Alcoholic Light Seltzer. I had it. It's totally shit. It was a shit
because they sponsored WWE. What do you expect?
It's only a bit of water and flavor, and that was mostly it.
So if I want that, I'll just buy a bottle of sparkling flavored water down from my local corner shop or something.
I can feel the pain Wade Barrett had to go through to kind of promote it. It's like, yes, this Bud Alcoholic Light Seltzer. Totally shit, but this is drinkable.
I get paid to say this. That'll do.
If I say this right, Vince won't yell in my ear. It'll be fine.
But of course, this still, going back to when we talked about day one, of which I will say, everyone, if you would like to hear what we're referring to, go back into the archives, be it on an audio form or YouTube, so you can see what the heck we were talking about when it came to that NXT ladder match, if memory serves. I think it was.
I think it was Cameron Grimes versus LA Knight for Butler Services or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. I was going to say, think about day one, I think it was, when they had the Pizza Hut collaboration. Or whatever it was recently.
Oh, yes.
And you could it was the best attempt to not eat a bit of pizza I've ever seen.
Did you say day one or Survivor Series? Because it was Survivor Series.
What? I'm not going to lie, all of it blends together at this point.
Fair enough, that's fine.
But yeah, Survivor Series, folks. You can hear about that in the archives if you would like to. So yeah, a lot has happened in the world of wrestling, and we're going to sort of change up the format a little bit this time, because let's just get straight into the biggest story that has been doing the rounds. And obviously, loads of people have been talking about this. It's been happening for a good week or so now.
Well, before we actually go into it, obviously we have to properly introduce the segment, because it is the segment we like to call wrestling around the world. And as you can see, it has a little bit of an update for a benefit of our audio listeners. It's a lovely film strip with lots of pictures of Cody Rhodes. Looking happy, looking serious, looking happy, looking ready for a fight, and just being Cody Rhodes. That's pretty much it.
But is he looking dashing?
Possibly.
Are we going to get him doing like random beauty tips again one day? Like he did many years ago when he was dashing Cody Rhodes. So yeah, obviously there is one place to start, really. That is the fact that last week it was announced, I want to say it was Tuesday morning UK time.
Yes, about lunchtime, I think.
Yeah, because it was a day before Dynamite, I remember that much. But it was announced that Cody Rhodes and Brandy Rhodes basically have parted ways with AEW. And there's been lots and lots of stories that have sort of done the rounds, lots of deep dives into it. The long and short of it, as we were already aware, seemingly, is that Cody was working without a contract, and ultimately an agreement was not met to renew it, or for Tony Khan to take up the extension that was an option, as it were.
Yeah, because there were a lot of reports of a lot of the original talent who'd signed on to AEW from the get-go. They all had like standard 3-year contracts, but with options to be picked up if they got to the stage of, well, we want to keep them for a couple of extra years. And pretty much, I think a lot of the main headline talent, so Young Bucks, Jericho, Hangman, for example, they all got picked up on their options, but the only option that didn't seem to get exercised out of the high profile ones was Cody, which obviously throws a lot of big questions up in the air about how things have been going between Cody, Tony Khan, and other performers at AEW. So it's not really our place to speculate and kind of guess what's going on. There's been a lot of really good news reporting about it left, right, and center. And they've obviously taken the time to get all these facts straightened out and all that sort of stuff. But I think,
go on, sorry.
But one of the big ones, and this is coming from a Wrestle Talk article where they talk about Andrew Sarian's sort of reporting on it as well, where they talk about how basically the contract disputes come down to money. The bottom line of it is, it obviously Cody. Well, I can't say obviously Cody. It's been reported that Cody felt he was valued more. AEW disagreed. And as such, Cody is, well, it's been reported, but it's very, very likely he's back off to WWE, which is, I think if you said this last year, I think everyone will be thinking there's no chance in hell that Cody Rhodes is going back to WWE. But now it's a very strong possibility. And it's just, we're almost 2 months into this year and all manner of things are going on. It's weird. It's weird. Yeah. It's wacky. It's exciting for a wrestling fan because you start doing your fancy booking and all that sort of stuff. But it's just things you don't expect to happen just happen.
Yeah, one of the more significant parts of the entire conversation is it is on the surface, because obviously Tony Khan owns the freaking company, but on the surface, from a public eye point of view, it's basically one of the founders of AEW going to WWE.
Yeah.
Like when you look at it from a surface level, that is what this appears like, regardless of whether it's ultimately very true or not, or how factual that is probably a better way to put it. But I think from a lot of the reporting that's gone around, it's clear that Cody had a vision of how things might play out. And over the past year or so, Tony Khan has clearly taken far more control, which I would say is probably which I would say ultimately, when you look at how things have played out, 9 times out of 10, that's been beneficial for AEW. Basically having a Vince McMahon equivalent of he is the one that says yay or nay to something making it on TV.
Yeah.
Because I think Tony Khan has done a few interviews in the past where he said there's a couple of little things here and there where he's like, I kind of wish I'd have said no to that in hindsight. I wish I'd have known it was going to happen like that. And there is a part of me that probably thinks that Cody loved being around everybody there. By numerous reports, he's had a great working / personal relationship with all the members of the elite and stuff in recent months. Things were fine. Is a very easy way to sum that up. But he's clearly got a goal for something bigger, which at this point in time, clearly he can't, well, assuming that is true, one would think he probably can't really achieve that being in AEW. But the possibility of him going back to WWE to see, now that he's basically been a main eventer, he's proved what he can do, how much he can wrap people around his hands, quite literally in some cases. This is the time. If you're going to do it at any time, going into WrestleMania season is the time to do it.
Yeah. There's also some other extra areas of Cody Rhodes with AEW, again, to kind of also bear in mind. Obviously, he's been doing a lot of television lately. He's been doing the Go Big show for TNT. He's also been doing the Roads to the Top sort of thing. So clearly Cody is like, you get a sense that Cody is looking not just at wrestling, but looking at the steps after wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like he's going the same sort of way you've seen people like, say, Miz, for example. Obviously, I'm not comparing Cody as a wrestler to Miz. It's just the way Miz has kind of got involved in WWE in various sort of facets. So obviously you've got the movies, you've got the reality shows, you've got some of the high profile, again, crossover TV stuff. Now,
look at John Cena, another prime example.
Yeah, if Cody Rhodes has eyes set on, I want to be on television, I want to be in films and stuff like that, I think WWE is going to probably offer more of a springboard for him, to be perfectly honest, because of the partnerships they do, because of all the sponsorships and all the cross promotions and the co-productions that they do. Look at the Netflix stuff. They did the main event a couple of years ago. And again, a lot of the wrestlers who weren't necessarily the big performers, like you had Miz, you had Kofi, you had Keith Lee. Keith Lee had a big starring role in that, and people forget that. he's like probably one of the main wrestlers that peer for out, as well as Commander Aziz, who was known as someone else at the time. But there are opportunities there for him to do that as well. So
opportunity, I think, is the key word you've used there. WWE, whether people like it or not, or want to admit it or not, WWE as a company, because of its name recognition value, the amount of money it has, the amount of contacts it just has in the entertainment industry as a whole, it has far more opportunity. It just does. Regardless of whether people ultimately get told about them or not, as we've heard from other people in the past about movies and stuff, it does bring more opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. And I imagine I think for fans, it's a very weird and confusing period. Obviously, I think we're not going to get the whole story about what's happened behind the scenes. At the moment, the bottom line is, as far as most people are concerned right now at the moment, it's about money. We're never going to probably hear the more in-depth kind of fracture of this relationship, or kind of the ultimate end of this relationship, probably for another couple of years or something, or until someone's happy to sit down for like a Bearwall podcast.
Or write a book.
Or write a book, yes. But yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is that like I said, I think the opportunity to kind of springboard into like multimedia productions is kind of an advantage with WWE right now, I suppose. Might not be great. I mean, I'm not saying all the stuff that they do is amazing, and we know all the stuff they do is definitely not amazing, but the fact is they are high profile. And if Cody's thinking that way, that's the way he will probably go. But the thing is, a lot of people kind of, there's been a lot of chatter of like Cody going back and things just reverting to the same, like before he left originally back in.
Look at Jericho.
Yeah, look at Jericho. But I think I'm trying to find like a positive here. I'm looking at this as positive. I think Cody coming back now is a different Cody to the Cody who left. He is a bigger deal.
100% agree.
He absolutely made himself a big deal. So if WWE turn around and throw him into a stupid feud with the Miz or something like that, the moment he comes back, I worry. But I think there's a bigger play for Cody here now, especially from the WWE side of things, because the way they look at it, and it's a view that a lot of like the wrestling reporters and commentators have made, is basically, to WWE, this is a victory. Yep. Because they have got someone who was involved in the creation of AEW leaving to join their company because it's not worked out for him. So if they're gonna, and knowing WWE, unfortunately, and their usual behavior to kind of ram it down our throats, I would not be surprised, and part of me would like to see it because of Cody as a talent, but I can see it happening is basically they'll push Cody high to the card to begin with, and they'll keep referring to, obviously, not probably by name or something like that, but they'll keep probably making a big deal out of it.
He came from elsewhere.
Yeah, he came from parts unknown. He came from the end. He came from free agency. He's the hottest free agent in the world.
He came from Jacksonville.
Pretty much.
Because if they say Orlando, then they're just burying their own company, aren't they? Basically, at that point with NXT. So
yeah.
But yeah. So okay. So from there, let's look at now. I should also say, assuming he does actually end up in WWE, on the off chance it ends up being somewhere else, hypothetically.
Yeah.
Where do we see Cody being, like, where do we see him going from a brand perspective? Because obviously there's Raw, SmackDown. Could he go to NXT? Where do you want him to go? Where do you think he will go is probably a way to discuss this.
I've got a few thoughts now, but I'm just going to the chat quickly. Multi-class geek. Hello, hope you're doing well. They've made a good comment saying if Cody goes back to WWE and gets buried, no one will ever make the jump back. That's also quite important. I think when you've heard reports of WWE expressing interest in talent like Wardlow, like Jade Cargill, and stuff like that when their contracts come up, especially MJF as well, because MJF has always been toying with it in these promos. If they bring on AEW talent and they just bury it just to punish them or something like that, they're never going to get that talent. They're never going to get the talent they think, oh, that talent might be good for us. So I think it's a very good point from Multi-Class Geek. It's basically if Cody's going into WWE, WWE need to book him properly or actually push him.
And also, and I hate to be like this and say this, they also need to not cut him because of budget cuts.
Yeah.
Like literally, the way I look at this is if Cody gets cut within a year of whatever deal he is supposedly signed, him going there is a failure.
I don't think there's been a real big example of a talent starting and being cut within a year recently. I know some talents have been there and been cut after like 2 years or something like that. Maybe. I don't foresee that, to be honest. Obviously, if WWE are going to make a play for it, they're going to make it try work and try make it as work as possible until they can bring in other talent and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Or attempt to lure other talent from AEW. But you were talking about brands. This is the thing. It's really where he kind of factors in with the booking plans at the moment, because they're two kind of there's a good point for him to go into Raw, and there's a good point for him going to SmackDown. For Raw, it's added star power. I mean, you've got a really good roster there anyway at the moment. You've got Rollins, you've got Owens, you've got RK Bro and all that sort of stuff. But I think
actually, on that thought, because you just brought up something, just to sort of set the field, if you will. Okay. Me speaking now as someone who really doesn't watch much WWE at this point. I try and keep up with things here and there, but I don't watch the shows.
Yeah.
Is a brand split still actually a thing at this point, in your honest opinion? Or, okay, it's good. With that in mind, then.
It is still in effect. They've been doing some kind of crossover with NXT 2.0 recently. We've had, actually from yesterday's NXT, Dolph Ziggler is now the #1 contender for the NXT title, which is very interesting, which is a very left field thing. But I kind of like the idea of like talent from Raw that's not being used going over to NXT to work with some of the younger talent. We had AJ Styles and Grayson Waller, which was all right. It was fine, not amazing, but the latest stuff, Braun Breaker and Dolph Ziggler, seems to be very entertaining. I don't know why, but my Amazon device is lit up. It's fine now. It's like, why?
Is it the prospect of Cody debuting on a brand? Is that what it is?
Oh no.
So you're mentioning Raw has the star power.
Raw has the star power, but SmackDown again is also considered the A show now because they have Reigns, they have Ronda Rousey, they have Charlotte and stuff like that. Part of me, if I'm fantasy book, there are two sort of avenues of fantasy booking here. Part of me wants him to go to SmackDown and be the one to dethrone Roman, and I know that, but I can't see that happening because that would say that a talent from another company has come in to dethrone your biggest champion. I don't see that necessarily happening. But I can imagine the meltdown it would cause if that was to happen. But I think more likely he's going to Raw. to be honest, because I think there's more. I think there's better match potential, and I think for work rate and stuff like that, I think there's better opportunities there. You got Edge, you got AJ, you got who else have we got over there? We've got, again, like I said, Owens, Rollins, and all that sort of stuff. I think the field there is probably quite open for him to get a couple of good choice feuds out for the first year, and then maybe make the shift over to SmackDown later on. But I think it generally is like, how do you book him into the Mania season? Because it's like it's either two things happening. Cody's appearing before and having a match at Mania, or he's appearing at Mania. That's the way I think a lot of people kind of zone in. And there's one interesting way it could happen, but I don't think it necessarily will. It relates to current goings on with the WWE title, because post Elimination Chamber, Brock Lesnar is once again your WWE champion, but there's a house show going on, or there's a Madison Square Garden house show happening on the 5th of March in New York. And basically, Lesnar has to defend the title against Bobby Lashley, who unfortunately is probably injured at this moment, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the big thing is, if Lashley isn't in, if Lashley's unable to compete, Paul Heyman gets to pick a challenger, or basically Reigns picks a challenger. Could be Cody. Cody could take the belt off Brock. Again, very hard to see that happening, to be honest. But fantasy book time, Cody takes the belt off. Cody takes the belt off Brock, or even Rollins. Get Rollins involved, and Rollins takes the belt off Brock, because he has beaten Brock twice before. And then you can have this wonderful Mania title match, Rhodes versus Rollins. I see that. That seems like a choice feud. That seems like a choice match to have.
Have WWE announced that they're like broadcasting this Madison Square Garden show at all?
Not yet, but I would be surprised if they're not. It's the night before Revolution.
Oh, of course it is. All right.
Yeah. Night before Revolution. So if you're gonna make the little light stab at AEW, there would be the time to do it, because it would be typical WWE to go, look, it's Cody. He's just become the WWE champion. He's left the company to come become a champion for us. And again, the internet would melt. I suppose probably. I mean, a lot of the internet broke last week when the story broke. So there's a lot.
From my perspective, and this is speaking as someone again who's not watching regularly but tries to keep up. Edge issuing an open challenge, even though I think he referenced the word phenomenal from what I have read, which implies Edge v AJ Styles, which sounds like a great match, quite frankly. I'm up for that.
It's dream match.
I would be up for seeing Edge v Cody, especially if it's an open challenge.
Yeah.
Open challenge means, you know what? I've come back because I heard you had an open challenge. It kind of writes itself. To me, that's really simple. But I want to see Edge and AJ. I really do. But yeah, I think Raw seems like the most logical option in terms of overall star power. But that said, if from a corporate point of view, and I hate to sound business-like here, if WWE want to make Fox really happy, you give them Ronda Rousey, give them Cody as well, someone who's jumped from the other show. The show that airs immediately after you every Friday, effectively. That's probably one way of doing it.
There are a lot of avenues this could go. Obviously, there's no confirmation that he has signed for WWE, but a lot of signs are clearly pointing that he has.
Unless he's going to join that new promotion that's been started up by the former Braun Strowman and EC3.
Yeah, that Control Your Narrative.
Yeah.
One, which I'm interested in, but not. It's like.
Or as I'm going to refer to it now, Sin. CYN.
Oh, fair enough. But yeah, I don't know what I mean. It obviously great on EC3 and Braun for starting another promotion up, because it's great to see a new label and new companies and that start up. But it's like,
apparently we've got a TV deal.
Yeah, I think you kind of need to see it a little bit in action first before kind of. I hear Terminus, which is Jonathan Gresham's one. I hear Terminus is off to.
I've not seen it yet, but I heard that first show of theirs was really good.
So again, lots of cool things for wrestling fans to be excited about right now. Whether it would be Cody appearing in WWE or other things happening, all that sort of stuff. But yes, And I think that's our main wrestling round the world storyline, to be perfectly honest.
That's the primary one for today. We'll call it that. There may be a few
Yeah.
others that pop up here and there as we get onto things, but
yeah, shall we move on to a good old roundup of WWE catch up?
Well, I was going to say, because we're talking about wrestling around the world.
Well, yeah,
why don't we reluctantly head to Saudi Arabia for a minute
and talk about Elimination Chamber?
Yeah. Full disclosure for everyone. I said it on the podcast, I'm pretty sure, before. I wasn't watching this show. I just wasn't, partly out like a moral thing. Also because, quite frankly, I cancelled my network subscription knowing that WrestleMania isn't until April and I could save 2 months worth of money. That was literally the reason I did it.
Fair.
I have not seen the show, but I am aware of things that occurred.
I mean, I think the frustrating thing to look at this now is WWE have managed to kind of position these shows as actual story beats. So there are obviously still a lot of red flags with the Saudi shows, but unfortunately, if you want to follow the story, you kind of again. I'm trying not. Basically, people are free to choose whether or not they watch the show or not.
But ultimately, now WWE have decided they matter.
Yeah, which is frustrating, but I think I appreciate it actually mattering rather than having a super showdown or a crown jewel where bugger all happens or stupidity reigns supreme, aka Goldberg becoming Universal Champion, all that sort of stuff.
So, from the perspective, then, just like as a general overall feeling, a kind of brief thoughts, how do you feel about the show looking back on it?
It was a mostly competent show. Basically, the things you expect to happen happened. Other than that, it's kind of it was not must watch WWE. It wasn't like Crown Jewel last year where you had a really good Hell in a Cell between Edge and Seth Rollins and you had some really good matches, actual clean wrestling matches as well. This one's a lot more story driven affair. So going through a quick play-by-play of things. So opened up with Reigns defeating Goldberg in about 6 minutes, which was the right result, and it had to be that way. So basically, the way Reigns is described it, he Goldberg. Don't know how that worked because he choked him out of a guillotine. but he did get speared by Goldberg like twice and always failed at the jackhammer bit. So yeah, Reigns beats Goldberg. That storyline from 2 years ago is now tied up, and Reigns is off to Mania, which is fine.
Wait, there was still an unresolved storyline with that?
Well, yeah, basically they were supposed to see who was supposed to be the best person with the spear back before the pandemic came along. Because we were going to give Reigns the Universal Championship at the Performance Center WrestleMania.
Wait. Are you telling me someone in WWE remembered a storyline continuity flaw from 2 years ago?
Well, they just referenced the fact of, oh yeah, we were supposed to have this match 2 years ago, but it didn't happen because of the pandemic. Now it's happening, and everything is different. That's all it is.
Who did Roman face at the Performance Center WrestleMania? I genuinely don't. Was he even there?
No, he pulled out. He went home. That was basically from that day. He actually left WWE for like a couple of months.
He was
to be
gone for like half a year, wasn't he? And then he came back here. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, came back once the Thunderdome was up and running, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, that's how the turn to Tribal Chief. So basically, a very important pivotal moment in Roman Reigns as a character's history, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so yes,
6 minutes later, done.
6 minutes later, latest defense of the Universal title done. Lovely jubbly. Moving on. We had the Raw Women's number one contender chamber match, which was Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Dewdrop, who else? Nikki Ash, Liv Morgan, and counted the things on my hand, right to the 6, Alexa Bliss, who made a return as well. The chamber matches this year were very fast and quick. Basically, they cut down like the 5-minute wait to like 2.5 minutes. So basically, it's like, here is a person, here is another person, here is another person. Out of the 2 chamber matches, if you want to watch a chamber match, I'd probably say go with the women's because really fast pace, really good fun. Everyone gets a little decent showing in. Bianca Belair quite rightly won the match because we're setting up Bianca versus Becky at Mania to obviously conclude the SummerSlam storyline, which makes sense. From a storytelling perspective, it makes perfect sense. But there are little bits and pieces there which interest me moving forward. I think a feud between Bianca and Rhea is going to be amazing because they really had some really stiff shots in the match, which is really, really cool to see. Alexa Bliss coming back was quite good fun. Oh no, the device is activated. Stop.
You see, Amazon just wants to be involved in the podcast. And don't forget, if you're listening via Amazon, let us know, please. You know,
it's
trying to recommend itself.
I will say Miss Bliss instead of the A word before the device goes.
Oh, of course.
Now you realise.
This is where my brain is at, folks. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. But yeah,
little Miss Bliss returned.
Yeah, little Miss Bliss returned, which is it kind of still reflects some of the character she had with the Lily doll. She doesn't have the Lily doll anymore. That's not part of it, but she still kind of got the sort of, the best way to describe it, goth Harley Quinn, I suppose. That's the way. I mean, looked good. Hadn't been in the match in a couple of months. Looked really good. I think we'll see some good stuff coming from her in a few months. Maybe she'll have a nice match at WrestleMania. Who knows? But the fact is, she's back, and that's good to see. And yeah, I mean, it was a foregone conclusion. It's a fun match, but there are still some things for it. Liv Morgan remains totally over as well. Liv Morgan, I think, kind of did a little cosplay of Britney Spears as well because. Oh
yeah, I saw that picture doing the rounds where she did like the "oops, I did it again" thing.
Yeah, one of the big pluses from this show is because the Saudi laws obviously limit how much skin a woman can show and stuff like that. WWE have managed to kind of craft the wrestler's attire to accommodate that and actually look like attire rather than kind of like, here is a t-shirt. Because some of the earlier stuff, they just kind of draped a t-shirt over them, an extra large t-shirt. Right, there we go, just wrestle in that and we'll be fine. But no, now we've actually got proper like attires that actually suit their characters and stuff like that. So it works absolutely. It looked well. It looked good as well.
Yeah.
I mean, when we move on to the next match, which is Ronda Rousey and Naomi versus Deville and Flair, where Ronda Rousey had one arm tied to her side, not behind her back, but to her side. Yeah, it's a weird bollocksy storyline. For the benefit of the audio listeners, Jeremy has just squinted and stared. But Jeremy has squinted and just stared at me.
I love the phrase "a weird bollocksy storyline." We just need that as like a sound beat now. That's like, just hit the button. It's such a weird bollocksy storyline. Weird bollocksy storyline.
Sound the klaxon. Sound the klaxon. But yeah, the weird bollocksy storyline behind this is basically, after the Rumble, Ronda turned up on SmackDown, put Sonya Deville in an armbar. Sonya Deville has had like an arm brace for like a couple of weeks. And basically they got into like a challenge for a tag match. So Deville and Flair against Naomi and Rousey. And basically the thing is, well, if my arm's not working, Ronda's arm shouldn't be allowed to work. So it's basically one arm. Yeah,
okay,
weirdy bollocksy shit.
Weirdy bollocksy storyline.
But the moment the bell rang, Sonya Deville goes, I was faking it all along.
Gasp.
Gasp. But obviously, by the end, it was a quick ordeal for them because Rousey managed one armed to put Deville in the armbar and make a tap out. Charlotte Flair wasn't getting involved because she doesn't need to deal with that until Mania. So fair enough.
How did Ronda look like as a performer, for want of a better phrase?
Good. I think after like the kind of rocky start to her second run on that Raw, she's actually seemed a lot more engaged and a little bit more responsive with crowds and stuff like that. So on positive, I'm still looking forward to the match with Flair at Mania. I think that will still be very good. But we're in the right direction there. Then we have probably the one of the most noteworthy stories coming out of the event. We had Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss in a Falls Count Anywhere match, which was all right. And then everyone went, oh no, when a reverse Alabama Slammer kind of spiked Madcap Moss on his head. And
you're being very generous with your description of that. I've seen the GIF. It looks horrid.
I mean, how was he not seriously hurt is beyond me. But I mean, I think the reports said he's had a lot of testing done now, and he is still absolutely. He's a little shaken, but fine.
Yeah, like there was a report doing around just before we went on air to record tonight, saying that based on the medical tests, he's passed, like he's fine. And I think what that potentially comes down to, because there have been other instances of things similar to this before.
Yeah.
And it's due to how you've trained your neck muscles and kind of the just your muscle mass in theory, kind of almost protecting your neck.
But he's definitely got a very defined neck. He's got a very kind of hench neck, Madcap Moss.
Yeah, and obviously either way, still incredibly lucky, but sometimes the actual neck, just your neck mass, how your neck is built or how you've developed your muscles there can actually lend itself really well. There was like I was trying to think of a good example, but if you go back and watch like old ECW footage of Rob Van Dam taking some pile drivers, it looks like he just proper bounces in the air. And it's because of the way effectively his neck muscles could help pop him back up as well. And it looks really, really weird. But that's kind of an example of how your neck muscles being built or refined in a certain way can really aid you and protect you.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very scary spot. And I am amazed that Moss wasn't seriously injured in that. Bonus shout out to Corbin, who immediately kind of pulled Moss out of the ring to try and give him a bit more time, because it seemed like that was just called off the fly. But I've got to pull Moss out of the ring just to make sure he's absolutely fine. Yeah. And then a fean moments later, Moss is running around the ring chasing Drew McIntyre. In terms of the match, apart from that very scary moment, it's an all right match. Riddick Moss, now Madcap Moss, it's a really decent wrestler, and I think once he ditches the Corbin shtick, I think he's got a little bit of a future in WWE, because it's just like he has a good build. He's very competent as a wrestler, obviously minus the scary spot there. And yes, it's like I feel something could be nicely lined up for Moss when he stops saying terrible jokes. Or
I was going to say, when the jokes stop, things begin.
Yeah. Because I could imagine Moss turning on Corbin after a while, and that would be like a major pop for Moss. You make him like a mini kind of face side of things, and Corbin continues to be an unlikable heel, but then he thrives as a heel. Still, one of the things that still amazes me about Corbin is no one has kicked out of End of Days in his WWE.
Surely someone has.
Don't think so. Not on his main roster run.
That can't be the most protected move in WWE. This can't be.
I think it is. But I also like End of Days, or Happy Days as it's now called. I don't know.
Is that the thing of Deep Six?
No, Deep Six is like the spinning power bomb.
Yeah, okay.
So deep End of Days is when it's like you kind of hook under the arm and then you fling them forward onto their face.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
yeah. For the benefit of the audio listeners, I did try to kind of act it on my side of the camera.
Sorry, I drew a blank on what the heck that was. But anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so we have that match. Becky Lynch defeats Lita in a very quick, kind of nice nostalgia match. Again, Lita still has it in the ring, which is good. The crowd like her. It's nice to see. So, but Lynch was no way in any form dropping that title to Lita. As much as we also wanted a Lita title win, it's not happening. It wasn't happening. And I don't think they haven't got any plans for Lita moving past the event now. So it's a shame. But again, it gives them opportunities to bring Lita back again down the line. You never know. Yep. Again, work with younger talent. That sort of stuff. Usos and the Viking Raiders didn't bloody happen. Yeah, they were supposed to have a SmackDown tag match for the belts. And basically, Viking Raiders got down the ramp. Usos jumped them. Usos kind of dropped one Viking Raider on the other. And they both went, oh no, our chests, they're hurt. We cannot fight. We cannot raid. All right, match is called off.
They're Vikings!
I think it's more of a timing issue, because this was a very short premium live event. It was about 2 hours 50. So it's like good old.
How much actual wrestling was there on the show then?
Well, between the Lynch match and the eventual main event, which was the men's Elimination Chamber, apparently there was 30 minutes without wrestling
Jesus Christ.
I think that was Tempest at Wrestle Talk counting up the minutes because it's like there's not a lot of wrestling at this moment.
So what I'm hearing here is that the Viking Raiders and the Usos flew from the United States to Saudi Arabia to do nothing. That's a long couple of travel days. Did they get paid?
They probably did. They probably got paid something. I mean, not all the time got flown
how much
out there.
money would each step that they took down that ramp worth? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I think we're never going to know that question until they've left the company at some point down the line or when they retired. So yes, that match is probably going to happen on a SmackDown. Might happen on this week's SmackDown. Who knows?
It'll probably happen on a house show.
Don't really care. To be perfectly honest, it's not been a great feud. And then last but not least, we have the men's chamber match for the WWE Championship. They had Bobby Lashley, the champion, against Brock Lesnar, Austin Theory, AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, and Austin Theory. This started out a bit weird because Seth Rollins did like a running buckle bomb, power bomb into Bobby Lashley's chamber. Lashley kind of fell over just like a sack of potatoes and went, ugh. And then everyone came into the cage and go, oh no, he might be concussed. We need to take him out of the match and all that sort of stuff. So apparently post-event, this is actually, the whole concussion thing is a work side of things. It's to cover up that he's actually injured his shoulder from Rumble.
Remember those German suplexes he took, and then some of them looked really awkward.
Yeah. That sort of thing.
Yeah, it sucks Bobby Lashley's injured. It really, really sucks.
Yeah.
If it's going to keep him out of Rumble, because he's just been great. Just in general, he's been a real solid person on the WWE roster, like through the Thunderdome era and whatnot, however you want to phrase it. The past couple of years, he has been like gold, quite frankly, as a presence in WWE. And it sucks in Mania season. He is potentially now going to be out for a long time.
Yeah. I think the estimate is about 4 months at the moment. So hopefully back around maybe Money in the Bank. SummerSlam period.
SummerSlam-ish, yeah. But either way, it really sucks, but best wishes to him.
Yeah. So Lashley gets moved from the match, so therefore we are going to get a new WWE champion. When it was time for Bobby Lashley to enter the match and he wasn't there, Brock Lesnar took it upon himself to go off script and kick in his chamber door. He just went, I'm getting involved now, and just kicked it through and just waltzed in, F5'd pretty much everyone to pin them, to eliminate them, apart from poor old Austin Theory, who was unfortunately the poor sacrificial lamb. And basically, the moment you knew Austin Theory was the last one in there, it's like, run, Austin, run! And there was a fun near fall moment where Theory actually delivered a low blow to Brock Lesnar. The one area that Brock Lesnar is really weak on is low blow. But he delivered one of his moves, trying to pin Lesnar, gets only a 1 count. Lesnar throws him off. And then they continued this like game of running around the cage to the point that Austin Theory goes, I know, I'll escape by climbing up to the roof of the cage and get out through the chain link. Lesnar catches him. They go to the top of one of the pods and he F5s Austin Theory off the top of the pod. He lands on his knees, obviously to cushion the fall, but basically that was enough to put Austin Theory down and make Brock Lesnar the WWE champion once more. I mean, I think the result was never in question, to be perfectly honest, unless there was any shenanigans from Reigns getting involved in the match, which didn't happen.
Not this time.
They had seriously been talking title for some time, even in the promos, and would you believe it now? Here we go. It's winner take all, champion versus champion at the most stupendous of WrestleManias, or something along those lines.
Now, I think we need to call something out here.
Okay.
The word stupendous.
Oh, dear.
It's going to get annoying after a while. So I have taken it upon myself right now, as I am speaking, to go to thesaurus.com. And I am going to read out to you other possible synonyms for the word stupendous.
Okay.
So with that in mind, let's see what other words we could potentially have in WrestleMania adverts that weren't stupendous.
Oh, dear.
Astonishing. astounding, breathtaking, colossal, the quite awkward one of Dynamite.
Don't put that in there. Vince will get angry. He'll watch the advert and go, who put that in? Who put that in my advert? Who put it in there? Was it you, Kevin Dunn? No, get out.
I mean, so I might try and add a bit more gravitas to just a couple more of these, but so we could even have the most enormous WrestleMania.
I think they've probably done that before, to be honest.
The most gigantic WrestleMania.
They've probably definitely done that before.
The most marvelous WrestleMania.
Probably not.
Oh, actually, this is appropriate. The most mind-boggling WrestleMania.
You mean WrestleMania 2000, where pretty much all the matches were tag matches, apart from one or two. There was no single matches on there, apart from one.
If this WrestleMania had been going on when the Bill and Ted's movie was coming out, we could have had the most prodigious WrestleMania.
Oh, I think we should be lucky that they've just picked stupendous and leave it at that.
Well, I'll pick one word. What have we got? The most radical WrestleMania.
That's the Tony Hawk era of WrestleManias. Stop it.
Perfect. I'm in.
We must go for the most stupendous WrestleMania. How many times will WWE announcers say stupendous? Many, many times. And it'll still sound awkward as...
I mean, put it this way, if you want to do drinking games while watching some wrestling at the moment, basically every time you hear the word stupendous, take a shot. And see how long you don't last for, depending on your beverage of choice.
Yeah.
So from there, Ian, let's sort of do as a post-chamber wrap-up, as we were. Where are we at, and where does it look like we're going?
Okay, so Mania card so far, we've got Reigns versus Lesnar, title for title, winner take all. Possibly, depends what happens on that March 5th show
at the Garden.
At the Garden, that sort of stuff. So we have that. SmackDown Women's Championship is Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. Raw Women's Championship is Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. And I think the only other match confirmed for the card is the Mysterios versus The Miz and Logan Paul. Celebrities. Yay.
Let's just call it like it is. Logan Paul's just the face you want to punch.
And that's why he's in a WrestleMania match.
You see, what I really want the Mysterios to do, though, is I want them to come cosplaying on their entrance. Because you know how, sometimes Rey Mysterio's done, I don't know, The Flash, or that one time he did the Joker and it looked like a really bad chicken or something.
Yeah.
He's been known to do different cosplays. I want them to come out cosplaying as Pokemon cards.
Oh, no.
Because Logan Paul bought the $3 million worth of Pokemon cards that turned out to be fake.
Oh, yeah.
I want them to play into this.
And then Vince McMahon just goes, look at the Pokemon. It's stupendous.
Someone sign Blastoise.
I like this Pikachu. Give him a 24/7 shot.
No, I want Raichu.
Give him Joe. Give him Joe.
Actually, no. You know who freaking Vince McMahon would want if you wanted the Pokemon. He would blatantly sign Machamp. That's what he'd do.
Look at him. He's got 4 arms. Look at the size of him.
Oh, God. So yeah, that's what I want to happen in this match.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the main confirmed matches we know that are definitely happening on the card. So that's the equivalent of one night, half of one night so far. So there's still a lot more to fill on this card.
So how does it currently look like then things could get filled?
So we've got from Raw this past week, Edge had a little sit down in the ring for a little bit of a little chat and just basically said, I want an open challenge. I want to make people famous at Mania. And as you mentioned, he did kind of name drop a phenomenal reference to someone, which is hopefully setting up a dream match of Edge versus AJ Styles. So I think that will be great fun if that happens. Really would be. We also have. Do you want to talk about Sami Zayn or shall we talk about Kevin Owens?
Let's do Sami Zayn.
Okay, so Sami Zayn last week became the brand new Intercontinental Champion, beating Nakamura after Nakamura's 6-month reign where he only defended the belt once.
What I'm hearing here is he was an unbeatable champion for 6 months. That's what I'm hearing.
And partially injured as well. Yes. But no, all signs since the Royal Rumble have pointed to the Johnny Knoxville feud continuing. I'm pretty certain, and I've said I said it last episode, and I vowed to get the confetti ready if this is going to happen. All signs point to Zayn versus Knoxville for the Intercontinental belt, and anarchy will reign if Knoxville wins, and it will be stupendous.
Anarchy Reigns is an old name of an ECW pay-per-view. Just saying. So, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, just do it. Like, we're at the point now where it's like, it's blatantly going to be a match with so many like smoke and mirrors involved and stuff. But the other way they could do this to throw, because as we talked about before, Johnny Knoxville has suffered brain damage from having a bull run into him. So maybe think about this. What if it's effectively Zayn versus Knoxville, but it's like someone representing Knoxville, kind of like the Mania 23 thing when it was Vince and Trump, something like that?
I don't think so, because he's saying he wants to be a world champion. Knoxville wants to be a world champion, and I think he's going to become the Intercontinental champion. And probably,
I hate to say it, but if he's going to win the Intercontinental belt, that ain't the world title. Just saying.
It's a championship. It'll keep him happy. It will carry on the Jackass Forever thing until it comes out on streaming and stuff like that. And side note, I love Jackass Forever. It was a fun film. Perfect.
Also, I'm going to say for the Twitch chat, I need to say this now from Multi-Class Geek in reference to our Pokemon discussion from a moment ago. Machamp comes with his own title belt. True.
Vince will be going, another belt that I could forget. Yes.
Another championship I'll unify into something else.
I'll make it the Machamp 24/7 Pokemon Tournament Championship.
God.
Yes. Stupendous.
Man doesn't know what Pokemon is.
He just goes, a kind of cake? No. Oh, I like cake.
He probably heard the word Pikachu and now calls like a barbell at a gym mat or something. Give me the Pikachu. I need to lift some weights.
Oh, Pikachu.
Literally.
Look at the guns.
For the benefit of the audio listeners, imagine Ian doing bicep curls while saying that.
Oh, but no,
So
I see it. Yeah. I think to Zayn and Knoxville's credit, the feud's been silly fun and okay. It's not been like it's been a celebrity feud which has been total dog shit. This is actually
Sami Zayn's great, and we're at the point where you've actually got someone who's clearly just like, sure, this will be fun. I'm game.
Yeah, because he had the whole thing with the pools last year at Mania. So yeah, in all honesty, I think it will be a fun pairing. And yeah, it's a weird use of the Intercontinental belt, but you know what? Why not? Why not let the wrestling world implode? The workhorse belt being championed by Johnny Knoxville. He'll probably drop the belt the next night on Raw,
or the next night at WrestleMania.
Yeah, or something like that. That's probably what's going to happen.
Like when Rob Gronkowski was like 24/7 champion for a day.
Yeah,
and then he decided he wanted to carry on playing football.
Yeah. I think that's or Knoxville will Knoxville will vacate the title so he remains undefeated as a world champion, and then we have a tournament for the new belt. And again, that's another thing that could happen. That's another thing that generally could happen. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Or Knoxville has a match against someone else who's undefeated at WrestleMania.
Butterbean.
Yeah, that would be funny. I was about to say, isn't Michael Cole still undefeated? But
I mean,
you'll face Corey Graves. There you go. That's how they'll do it.
There we go. That's how Corey Graves comes back into wrestling after being clipped.
But then Byron Saxton cost him the match. He's sick and tired of being berated by him.
A lot of people don't like Byron Saxton still, from a character point of view, obviously. Because I mean, there was something on Raw this week where Byron's talking about Bianca Belair's chances of beating Becky, and both Becky and Corey Graves say, "Shut up, Byron. You know nothing of this. You know nothing of the wrestling turmoils that we go through." I don't know.
Poor Byron.
The other interesting sort of thing is Kevin Owens has had an issue with the American state of Texas for the last couple of weeks.
The home of WrestleMania this year.
Yeah. He's just every time he's had a promo with Kevin Patrick backstage, he just goes, I just hate that Texas. I don't like it. I don't know why I have to go there. I don't know why I have to go and perform in front of the peasants. And I mean, that's not obviously Owens makes it more interesting and silly and fun. We fully know that Owens is just being an idiot and being silly for the sake of being
a great troll.
That's it. That's the sort of thing. But the rumors for this are leading to a WrestleMania match with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And it's like, part of me's gone, if this happens, on one side, I'll find it very giddy and funny to watch because I know Owens is going to get stunned to high hell.
Back from the stunners.
And then it's like, do we want the match? It's like, I'm not sure. It's like, I don't know. I think it's one of the sort of things is I just want to see how it pans out. Really?
Yeah, it's like there's part of me that's like, oh, I'd love to see Stone Cold back in the ring. There's also part of me thinking, he last wrestled, if I've got my timelines right, in 2003.
Yes, WrestleMania 19.
Yeah. It's a long time ago. And there's part of me that's like, as abrupt and sort of uniquely special as his forced retirement was, in the sense of like, from a fan point of view, you didn't know it was his last match. And there's an element of, imagine we could have got one more. I'm kind of in two minds about it, but more from the perspective of, I don't want Stone Cold to come back and it feel like a letdown, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think if anything, if this match is happening, it's going to be short, it's going to be sweet. You go through the basics. Stone Cold appears, he does the sort of arms at the top of the turnbuckle, that sort of thing for his entrance. He then immediately starts opening a can of whoop ass on Kevin Owens, does the Lou press, all that sort of stuff. Stunner, done. It's over and done in less than 5 minutes, to be honest. Unless they can legitimately make it work. And I think that's the sort of fear is they do have Steve Austin back. They do it. They really push it, and it's like stuff you kind of don't want to see. I mean, is it like Kevin Owens does most of the offense, and then Austin just wins with a stunner, that sort of thing? I don't know. This is the sort of thing. There's so many different sort of queries and factors in this. I mean, it's intriguing. I think if it were for anyone on that roster, I think it will be fun for Kevin Owens, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
I think part of it's also it might have been kind of like a sort of thank you for re-signing with us. We're going to try and make this happen for you, or we're going to try and do something special for you to be a part of. And I think for Owens as wrestler, even if he won or lost, I think just to be in a ring and have a actual, if he actually has an actual match with Steve Austin, he could be one of the few times say, I wrestled Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah. So here's my pitch for how this works.
Okie dokie.
Kevin Owens comes out first.
Mm-hmm.
Austin's music hits. And you know how the WrestleMania ramp or entranceway is normally really, really long? Because they're like in a giant ass building.
Well, someone needs a doom buggy.
No, even better.
Oh.
He comes out in a beer truck. And
Yes.
we get a recreation of the beer bath at WrestleMania. So a lot of the thousands of fans are just covered in beer. Sucks to be you. And then ultimately he gets in the ring. The bell is somehow rung. It's like a no DQ or falls count anywhere match. Take your pick. It's quick, like you say. And ultimately, we recreate the best Stone Cold stunner ever, which is when Shane McMahon had taken a sip of beer. He gets Stone Cold stunned, and as he's jumping back in the air, he just spews it in the air. And we get that from Owens. Chef's kiss. Done.
And off we go. Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, in the chat, Multiclass Geek is saying we don't want Stone Cold Steve Austin to come back like Taker did. I think the fact that Austin has been out of the ring for 20, is it nearly 20? 2000?
Oh,
nearly
God,
nearly 20 plus years.
Oh, my God. Sounds like, appearances on TV and stuff, but in terms of actual in-ring competition.
Yeah. I mean...
I feel old.
I think I'm bloody old too. I think if it's a one and done thing, if it's a one-off thing, fine. But knowing WWE, they're going to bloody try and milk this, won't they? I mean, who knows?
There is part of me that thinks that Austin himself will probably have a lot of integrity about this. Like, if he's agreeing to do it, there's clearly conditions that are being agreed to here.
Yeah,
he wouldn't do this willy-nilly.
Yeah, I think Austin's probably smart enough to look at how people have come back from retirement and fared. Obviously, Shawn Michaels and Crown Jewel, that was a fun nightmare to behold. Also very wary of obviously the Goldberg run as well. So there have been slight ups of Goldberg, but most of the time there are downs of Goldberg, that sort of stuff.
Shane McMahon, of course, you know.
Yep. You know the man who won a fist fight with MMA fighter Matt Riddle. Yeah. But yeah,
and now where is he? Where is he? He's in the 2K video game as a GM. That's where.
Why not? Because he did it. He was technically manager during a really good period of SmackDown in 2016.
But who else was with him during that time?
Daniel Bryan. But
a certain man with the words Daniel and Bryan in his name.
But we can't use him now. But look, kids, William Regal.
Daniel Bryanson.
Well, yeah. But yeah, I think that's the bottom line with Stone Cold.
Was that intended? What you just said?
Not really, but I realised it after I said it, so I'm very pleased.
That was very. We can't follow that, so the only thing we can go from there is to say that obviously winner take all match. That's kind of the final thing that we're looking at.
I mean,
I'm fine with it. I'm gonna be honest.
I have to admit, part of me's kind of excited for this one. I know I've been on previous episodes saying I don't like the idea of title versus title. The fact matter is, Reigns is winning this match. There is no way this is ending than Reigns winning the match. But the fact is, like, there are bits that I've really kind of enjoyed with Brock over the last couple of months. I've loved Cowboy Brock. I just like babyface Rock is just apparently, according to interviews, and I need to watch the Pat McAfee interview he did. But apparently, it's like who he is in the ring right now, doing all the promos. That's kind of who he is now as a person. And it's just like, all right, this is like considering a couple of years ago when he did Stone Cold podcast, he was just going, yeah, I don't like people. But now he's like
relatable, you know.
Yeah, relatable. but now he's just kind of like, when he won the belt at Elimination Chamber, he was celebrating with the crowd. He was doing selfies and all that sort of stuff. When he came out at the start of Raw, he spotted a young lad in the front row and go on, hit the belt, tap the belt. There you go. Good kid.
Kid goes, my hand.
Yeah. It's like, he's made of solid steel. Yes, that's the alpha male Brock Lesnar there. But no, it's just I think the characters have been so much more interesting with Brock and Reigns. I think when we've done it over and over again prior to the pandemic and all that sort of stuff, Lesnar was stale. Reigns wasn't working as a babyface. The in-ring stuff's fine, but there's nothing from a character point of view to really sink in. The crowds like babyface Brock. The crowds love dickish Roman Reigns. I mean, it's like, if any of their main events are going to work, it is going to be this one. And hopefully this will be a fun match. Hopefully, it'll be actually like a good 20-minute, 25-minute battle of the ages or something like that. Because if this is going to be the last time they fight for some time, hopefully they'll do something special.
I just really like the fact this is going to be winner take all, because there's always been part of me that's thought when you've got the two different championship matches, in theory, the most important match would be unifying both belts, and it should be at WrestleMania. When the Undisputed Championship was first created at a random Vengeance pay-per-view in 2001, like after Survivor Series, there was always part of me that thought, why wasn't that held until, be it Rumble at the very least, or WrestleMania? They could have really built that up. And it always felt like that was a missed opportunity to me. And this is the closest we're ever going to get to that, probably. Yeah. And even if it ends up just being, Roman goes, I don't want this belt. Here, have your trash belt back on Raw or whatever afterwards. Fine. that'll suck, but whatever. But the idea that you can now have an undisputed champion again, I really, really like that.
I think if Reigns ultimately wins it, I think we'll see Reigns on Raw for a little bit until the talent and the roster's lined up to actually have a really good kind of division to take the WWE champion. I mean, again, we talked about some of the stars already on the Raw roster. There's quite a really good balance there of people like Lashley, people like AJ, people like Edge and stuff like that. Seth, if Cody goes into that faction as well, that sort of whole roster as well, it becomes like give one of them a belt and you can have really good, like, top quality matches, premium live event after premium live event. It's all set. But obviously Reigns will probably lose the WWE Championship at some point, maybe in like a stupid, like maybe like in a ladder match or something like that, a ladder or something where he doesn't have to take the pin. So it's kind of like he still holds on to like the Universal Championship. And again, it's like, who on earth takes the belt from him? It's just, we are really at that stage where you just go, Roman Reigns is going to be the Universal Champion forever. And it's like, part of me is kind of resigned to that. Oh, fine. It's just kind of like,
I've just been thinking about it. Like, the last time there was technically an undisputed champion was Becky Lynch. When she won the belts at Mania in the three-way, and then she ultimately lost one of them at a pay-per-view, I seem to recall, when she had to defend the belt twice.
She lost the SmackDown one to Bayley?
It was when she was feuding with the Southern gal, whose name escapes me off the top of my head. Lacey
Evans. No, but she didn't lose it to Lacey Evans.
No, but it was on that show though, where she had to face her and someone else, I seem to recall.
Yes.
That was at least over 2 years ago, so...
That or Oscar.
But either way, but she's the last undisputed champion, effectively.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So, we're in WrestleMania season. I'm looking forward to it. I'm still happy they've kept up with the 2-night thing, because it means it's going to be just 2 like 3-hour-ish shows, which is, speaking as someone who attended a WrestleMania, which was around 8 hours, and I missed the main event so I could get back to my hotel. I am happy. It's just like 2 3-hour things. The Performance Center WrestleManias worked as 2 separate 3-hour shows. They just did. I know it was kind of a necessity more than they wanted, but it worked.
I think it's kind of like a small little thing that they've realized, this actually seems to do well, and people seem to be more positive about the event. They've clearly seen, after doing it live with people and obviously doing it with the Performance Center, hopefully WWE have seen it's like, people like this sort of special. If they only do it for Mania, that's even better, because then it's like a special weekend. And I think at the moment their lineup for the Mania weekend is insane. I think they're doing an NXT takeover or premium live event thing like on the morning of one of them.
Oh, that sounds like a silly idea to me, but okay.
I mean, it sounds a bit. I mean, I think the SmackDown before Mania, you got SmackDown and then the Hall of Fame straight after. So it's like one big bumper show there. Then you got NXT having Stand and Deliver somewhere along that weekend. 2 nights of Mania, then the more Raw after Mania. It's gonna be a crazy week.
Yeah. Also, you know what else as well? With there being 2 nights of WrestleMania, it's a really good way to charge people tickets for 2 events. More money, the highest grossing WrestleMania and all that.
Could possibly, depending on how the card shapes out, we could do that.
Indeed. So, good sir, I think from there we may venture to Jacksonville, if you will. And we'll go to the world of AEW, unless we've got any other additional notes or thoughts that we should convey before we move on from the WWE.
No, I think we've covered all in the big WWE. WWE. I don't know why I'm doing the things like Steve from WrestleJuice does. No, it's like Steve from WrestleJuice does these awesome like looks at like Wrestling News Now. Wrestling News Now is a weird clickbaity video channel, which kind of creeps me out to a degree, because they seem to do these very ludicrous videos that get ridiculous views, and it's
make people want clickbait. That's what it comes down to.
It's like seeing some of the thumbnail art of just Sasha Banks has a sad career, and it's like, no, she hasn't. What are you on about? I'm surprised no one. I'm surprised no one has taken them to task on this. To be honest, from a legal standpoint, but Debbie,
one
Debbie,
day, just you wait. One day.
One day. So they'll do a very stupid headline, and it'll come down.
So onto the world of AEW. So we're going to try and do some bullet point form, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Page is still the AEW champion. He retained in a really cool, fun Texas death match against Lance Archer with a really fun finish of him doing the buckshot lariat over the top of the referee because the top rope had been taken down. That was a really fun finish to that. His next challenger, as was kind of being surmised based on, we were talking about the rankings in AEW at the time, and also a promo or two that he had been cutting, is going to be Adam Cole. And so we will be getting the battle of Adam versus the other Adam in AEW for the world title.
Who will be the best Adam? Will it be Cowboy Adam or Baby Adam? Find out at Revolution.
So I am looking forward to this match. It's going to be good fun. Is there any chance Adam Page loses this?
I don't think so. I think what will happen is we'll have a series of matches between Page and Cole, and I think it will probably finalize up at Double or Nothing, and that's where Cole becomes champion. It's like, I think we're going to talk about this. I think a lot of things are aligned to the fact that the new version of the Undisputed Era in AEW, Paragon, whatever it's going to be called, is aligning itself up to ready to kind of strike, per se. And I think the prophecy of gold again returning, but this time at Double or Nothing, I think would probably work in a storytelling aspect, because then you set up your summer feuds of Young Bucks and Omega when he comes back, hopefully when he's fit, going up against the new. I keep calling the new Undisputed Era. Let's just call him Paragon in brackets, because that's
you could call him Red Dragon.
Why don't I just call him the not undisputed, the slightly undisputed, or the Undisputed 2.0. Yes, that's how we do it.
You could just call him Disputed.
But then that means people have had arguments and won with them. I don't know.
Speaking of Red Dragon / Undisputed Era / Disputed / Paragon / Fish and O'Reilly, linking to the previous note of Adam Cole challenging for the title, the Young Bucks and Cole and O'Reilly, Fish and O'Reilly, they got there in the end, are now, both teams are wanting the tag team titles. We're at this point now. And the way they're setting this up is there are going to be 2 battle royals taking place over the coming weeks. Well, tonight, on the day we're taping and recording this, and next week, I believe, on Dynamite, there'll be 2 battle royals. Tonight is, I think, a standard tag team battle royal. The next one will be a casino battle royal. And the winning teams from those respective matches will go through to a 3-way tag team title match at Revolution against Jurassic Express. Obviously, it's fair to assume both of these teams will make it to the 3-way. It's just a question which one will each team win respectively. And I'm looking forward to this because we're going to get our first interaction, by the look of it, physically, either way, of Red Dragon and the Young Bucks, be it in a 3-way most likely, and then that will likely then lead to a tag team match down the line. I really like the way this is being built, and also how Adam Cole is just kind of being seemingly just left in the middle. There was a really fun promo, I think it was on Dynamite or Rampage, it was one or the other, where, like, in fact, it was to do with Jay White, which we'll get onto properly in a minute, but it was stemming from that, and kind of Adam Cole being in the middle of the shot, Red Dragon one side, the Bucks on the other, both teams walking off the side, and Adam Cole just being left in the middle. And then Brandon basically just calling out Adam Cole before he cut the camera, going, "Which way you going, Cole?" And then Cole just going, "Shut up, Brandon!" Shut the camera off, and you never actually see which way he walks. Very well done.
Yeah, I think we'll have fun with this one at Revolution. It will be interesting to see if we have it straight away there. The fact is we've got Jurassic Express, who unfortunately may be like transitional champions right now, which is a bit sad.
They're building to Christian and Jungle Boy. They've started that now. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a very subtle dig a very, very subtle dig during the promo they had in talking about the Battle Royals, where Jungle Boy kind of said, oh yeah, I've got experience in winning Battle Royals, kind of looking at Christian when he beat Christian in the Battle Royal last year. So it looks like they're finally starting to pull the trigger on that, which is going to be a shame because I actually like the trio with Christian being involved in them, but I could see that now being probably a long-term build for maybe like a double or nothing type thing.
Yeah, probably. Talk about the Forbidden Door.
Yeah, I was going to say, next up, the Forbidden Door has been reopened. Jay White, member of the Bullet Club, yes, it's still a thing in 2022, appeared from, well, I say New Japan Pro Wrestling, from Impact as well. He faced Trent on Rampage, which is a really fun match. And the explanation as to why he was brought in was that Adam Cole brought him in, because it's kind of like when you're Bullet Club, one time you're Bullet Club for life, because they've all been part of the Bullet Club in some way. But the long-term build is the Young Bucks pointing out, you realize Kenny really doesn't like Jay White because there was like Bullet Club turmoil and stuff. So eventually this is going to lead to 3-on-3, most likely the Elite versus Undisputed as a trio, as it were, Red Dragon and Cole. When it comes to Kenny Omega, he did an interview this past weekend, I think it was, where he kind of implied he was originally aiming for a February return. But just the way things have worked out, he still needs to get like another surgery done or something, I think, or potential procedure. So I reckon he ain't going to be back for at least a good few months yet, based on the way he was kind of not cryptically phrasing it, but trying to be as realistic as possible.
Maybe all out.
Yeah.
I mean, considering he's had a non-stop reign in AEW with a lot of injury negs and stuff like that. Again, if it takes that long for him to get better and be able to come back and have great matches, fine, be that way.
Kenny was wrestling virtually all of the past couple of years, suffering vertigo in the ring. It's mental. But I will say, I really like Jay White as a wrestler. Like, I've not seen him in a while because he's been on Impact, and I haven't been able to watch Impact and not much New Japan. But I just really like Jay White as a wrestler. It's just really, really cool. And he's a great troll, quite frankly.
Okay.
It's really, really cool. A tenuous link to that because of the Adam Cole connection, but Britt Baker finally is doing something.
Yay!
Finally. It's in a feud. Obviously, the inevitable Thunder Rosa match is coming up at Revolution. Mercedes Martinez lost a match. There was a random Cobra Kai collaboration, which I'm going to be honest, means boggle to me because I don't watch Cobra Kai.
Neither do I. But it's just
that
kind of
reference
like,
totally lost me.
So it's like, okay, so Britt Baker has a Cobra Kai stable now. What? No. I mean, this is the same week I think Melissa Joan Hart turned up as well. That was even weirder. But
you see, as far as I'm concerned, when Clarissa Explains It All appears, yes, Clarissa Explains It All, then Sabrina the Teenage Witch. That's the way this works, everyone. When Clarissa is there, I'm happy. It's like, yeah, I'm game for that. Sure. I think also, I think the Bucks appeared on her show that she does.
Okay.
I can't remember what it's called. I think it's something like What Women Binge. It's something like that. It's something like that. I can't remember the exact name of it, but I saw a screenshot. So I think the Bucks revealed some new merch on there or something.
I mean, yeah, we're getting the Britt Baker Thunder Rosa storyline. I don't know. It's like I'm just very cold on this reign. It's like
it certainly needs some hot sauce on it. That's the way I'm phrasing it.
Yeah,
it needs something to spice it up because it's just been a long time coming, and also there's still this element of a Jamie Hayter and Rebel just there again now.
I just it's like I think I talked about this last episode. It's just like I don't want to be sour on this, but I just don't care, and that's mostly because the booking, all the storyline telling in the reign of Baker has been mediocre or mid.
This is the most. This is actually probably the appropriate way to say it. This is the most mid Britt Baker has felt as a character in AEW right now.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. When it's in the ring, she's great, absolutely great.
Yep,
I have just struggled to really actually have any interest in the reign. I mean, we've had some decent little matches of Ruby Soho. We had the Ty Conti at All Out. Was it Full Gear? I can't remember. No, it was Chris
Otherwise,
Statlander who did it all out.
otherwise, why should we care?
Yeah, it's like
I hate to say it.
yeah, and the whole Reba and Jamie Hayter stuff is just it started, it stopped, it disappeared, it came back. Cobra Kai's now there. What?
It does just feel very disjointed. It's like the way I look at it is periodically in AEW, when you look at all the main feuds on television, all the main things that are going on, there is something that gets lost in the shuffle. Most likely unintentionally, but just the way it's presented, something about it is off. At the moment, it's Britt Baker. The way Britt Baker is just presented, something about it is off. That is just the way it is to me.
Yeah. Hopefully this is the start of things turning around. I'd like to see this as the start of things turning around and making the feud and the belt reign actually means something. But because at the moment it's like you can have great matches, but if things aren't linking up in a storytelling thing, if matches like Kenny, we compare it to the Kenny's reign, for example. Kenny great matches, but at least the storyline and the feuds felt nicely woven together. So things like they sort of they managed to blend from one to the other, for example. Whereas this has just been, who can we put in this short feud for now? Oh, we'll just put that wrestler in. All right, fine. And it just feels very disjointed. And I think that's what I'm trying to say. But
yeah,
I agree. When Jade Cargill's TBS Championship reign seems a lot more cohesive at the moment than the Women's Championship.
Yeah. So let's talk about something which I know for a fact we're both looking forward to based on how it's shaping up so far. This being the Face of the Revolution ladder match. It's that traditional thing where I want to say the winner of the match gets a TNT title shot based on previous years.
They get a title shot of some description, but they also have to climb up and grab the giant golden ring from Sonic the Hedgehog. No, wait, that's not right. But it's a giant golden ring that looks like something from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Or you could say grabbing the brass ring. I think that's meant to be the play on the words there.
Yeah, but it looks like golden.
I know, right?
You just want someone to jump through it and go to a special stage.
Exactly right. And the potential of that happening this time, maybe Wardlow, because he's qualified. Powerhouse Hobbs is qualified. And so has one of the most recent signings in AEW, Limitless Keith Lee. His debut was wonderful.
It was nice to see him back. And just, it was basically the match he had against Isaiah Cassidy was basically just like here are the greatest hits sort of things that, in case you forgot Keith Lee could do, this is what Keith Lee could do. He can yeet you across the ring.
And it was great.
He can just roll or kind of jump out the way. He can also just barge into you. He can also jump over ropes. The only thing that was missing was him flinging Isaiah Cassidy into the audience. I like Adam Cole in NXT. Did that have been perfect. But yeah, it's like it's like I think there were some little moments with like the commentary. It's like Tony Schiavone was just like having a mini meltdown. It's like, look at the size of him. It's like it's Keith Lee. We know he's a huge guy. We know he's a towering titan of the wrestling ring.
But there's a lot of people out there who probably just don't remember him or aren't even really aware of what Keith Lee is as a presence.
Yeah.
And it was such a good debut. And the thing I'm just looking forward to is the fact that we're just going to get three giant hosses of men pounding each other or throwing people across the ring in a ladder match.
I think as Big E's pretty much coined it, big, meaty men slapping meat.
Yep. But it does now raise the question, because I want to say there's normally 6 or 7 people in this match.
I think this is a 6-person match, yeah.
And traditionally, I think someone's debuted in the match, because I think Ethan Page debuted in the match one year.
Brian Cage at a different event. Debuted.
Yeah,
they've only had 2 revolutions.
Yeah, it might be Brian Cage and Ethan Page. I don't remember, but one or the other debuted in the ladder match. I remember that much. So I guess it's a question of, is there going to be a mystery opponent, and what other people might be involved? Because you could easily put some of the more high-flying able people in there to get flung around onto ladders and such, or just have the big men just throw a wrestler to each other like a ball. You know, that could be amusing. But either way, this is going to be a fun ladder match. I can't wait.
It is going to be fun. I think it'll be interesting to see who the other 6 competitors are going to be. We're going to probably find out in the next. We're about 2 weeks away from Revolution, so we will find out very quickly. There'll probably be more qualifiers tonight, to be honest.
Imminently.
Imminently.
Speaking of the TNT title, when I said that a few moments ago, it looks like after Sammy Guevara's successful title defense, sans his eye injury he seemingly picked up, and that may become a thing. We'll find out more soon, most likely. After beating Darby Allin, thanks to Andrade hitting Darby with Jose, the assistant's iPad, which the commentators couldn't tell what it was, which I found quite amusing. It looks like Andrade now wants the TNT title. I am so up for a Sammy Guevara-Andrade match because I want to see Andrade wrestle because he's so good.
So Andrade has given up the dream of trying to buy little boy Darby Allin.
to buy Darby Allin from Stink.
It's like, I want to talk to your manager. I want to buy this young boy. That sounds wrong. I apologize. But it's just the way the backstage things were going. I was like, I want to buy this. I want to buy him. It's like, are you okay, Andrade?
Have you not noticed how he keeps calling Sting Stink? Every time I love it so much. It's great.
Oh.
But I'm looking forward to seeing this match. I mean, I think from what Sammy Guevara has said, it's like during his match with Darby, there was a moment when they were like on the ground kind of slapping each other in the face. And it seems like during one of those slaps, his eye got scratched.
Ooh.
And it was at the point, because I think this is documented on his vlog actually this week, but he was traveling home and he literally couldn't open either of his eyes. And if he opened the eye that was fine, it would make his other eye that got scratched really start hurting.
Mm-hmm.
So he was actually traveling home blind, basically, which was I bet not a fun experience. And we'll see what happens with that. But either way, really looking forward to that as a potential matchup. The other thing it's sad, but I'm really, really liking it and the direction it's going in. The Inner Circle imploding.
Oh, yes.
Santana and Ortiz beat Jericho and Hager. I love the fact that Santana basically just beat Jericho with a clothesline. It was so good. But afterwards, Jericho just wanting to get his hands on Kingston, and Kingston really just being like, dude, what the fuck? Oh, sorry, pardon my language. What the heck? But it's that thing of like, Kingston initially was like, the heck are you doing? All right, you want to fight? I'll fight. But it was Jericho who was really, really ticked off at Eddie Kingston. Just really, really good stuff. I can't wait to see where this is going to go. One would assume, based on what's been announced for Dynamite tonight at the time we're broadcasting and recording, we're going to get a face-to-face between the two of them. I can't wait for this.
Yeah, it pretty much all signs a point to a Kingston versus Jericho Revolution match. Hopefully, if Kingston's well enough at the time. But yeah, they've been building to this for some time. That's what's going down, which will be fun to see.
I can't wait. And finally, arguably one of the it was a freaking home run shot of a promo from CM Punk on Dynamite when it came to him announcing the stipulation for his match versus MJF, announcing it was going to be a dog collar match, and the way he weaved that entire promo was talking about how MJF was a massive fan, had a freaking picture of him from a signing, and talking about like needing to bleed and whatnot, like Piper in Portland and all that. Everything that he said, it was perfect. And the thing that just put the exclamation mark on it was MJF coming out with a microphone, and he couldn't say anything and just dropped the microphone and walked out. Perfect. So good. I'm really looking forward to this dog collar match.
I kind of feel like this will be like the middle battle between them. So I sense this will probably be a Punk victory at Revolution. And then we have like the final blow off maybe at Double or Nothing, or in the run up to Double or Nothing, or something like that. Because I kind of think as well, I think MJF will probably eventually be turning its attention towards the championship or AEW World Championship, because it's like I think it's almost time to really give him like a belt so he can really be hated by people. Like,
so hypothetically, and I'll use this as an opportunity to go on to what the current Revolution card is, as it were.
Yeah.
Because in the Face of the Revolution ladder match, Wardlow is still, as things stand, an employee of MJF.
Hmm.
And if you win the match, you get a title shot. So what? And the thing that was highlighted a while ago at this point was that if Wardlow wins a title, he has to give it to MJF. What if Wardlow winning the ladder match, be it then the subsequent title match he wins the belt or he hands the shot to MJF, is the reason that MJF gets a belt shot?
Could be possible. I kind of sense the Wardlow turn is coming though.
It's so soon.
It either happens at Revolution or it happens after Wardlow probably wins. I think out of all the field at the moment, Wardlow stands probably the strongest chance of winning the ladder match, to be honest, because it works. Because it's working from a storyline perspective. I mean, it'll be great to see Keith Lee pick up the opportunity, but I think from a storytelling perspective, I think that will work quite nicely with the MGF story stuff. So,
yeah.
Well,
so the other matches, just to quickly sum up the Revolution card: Adam Cole versus the other Adam, Hangman Page.
Battle of the Adams. Battle of the Adams. Which Adam is the most Adam, Jeremy? Is it the cowboy Adam who likes cowboy shit? Or is it the Adam that goes baby because he's all about the boom? Which Adam? The Adams are going to fight forever.
For the
Adam Revolution.
Elsewhere on the card, tag team title 3-way match, Jurassic Express defending against 2 other teams. Women's world title, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa. Dog collar match, CM Punk v MJF. This pay-per-view, mate, it's gonna be a good one. Already it's building up, and I'm like, yeah, I was gonna be in regardless, but I'm in.
Which Adam is going to take it all? Adam takes all.
But in terms of what is coming up on Dynamite and perhaps how things will advance, as mentioned, got one of the tag team battle royals. Kings of the Black Throne, that being Malachi Black and Brody King, taking on Penta and Pac. I am looking forward to this match. We've got the Jericho and Kingston face-to-face, and apparently as well, because I forgot this was noted on Rampage, we've got the TBS title being defended, that being Jade Cargill versus The Bunny on Dynamite.
I think there'll be another win for Jade.
Yep. Also, shout out to Jade Cargill and her Riddler cosplay effectively on Rampage. It was so good. Also, I've got to say, Jade Cargill with green hair looks freaking amazing. It worked. For me, that look worked brilliantly.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I think on that note, mate, we are going to start wrapping up imminently. But before we do, there is one more topic that we want to talk about, because it's like a sort of little fun thing just to discuss before we wrap up. That being the other big news of the week, and that is that the Hall of Fame for WWE. I want to say the first inductee for this year has been announced. In my honest opinion, probably should be the only inductee for this year, quite frankly. If you really want to make it about one person, that being the Undertaker. It kind of feels obvious it was going to be that, given it's in Texas. But yeah, Undertaker being in the Hall of Fame seems right, quite frankly. It needs to happen. There is also part of me that literally just wants there to be a big build-up about what his speech is going to be. It's going to be like they're thinking all the things he could talk about his entire career. And ultimately, he just comes out and says, finally, I can rest in peace.
I mean,
and then walks off.
Didn't he kind of do that with his Survivor Series farewell, where everyone got in the ring, even Kane in his full costume, where everyone else wasn't in a costume?
I mean,
the fact is now that we
they didn't do it in front of fans though. That was in the Thunderdome. I
mean, considering we've got used to non-kayfabe Taker just turning up and talking things about now. It's like there's still lots of weird stories you kind of just really want to hear from him. So it's like, yeah, if you want to give him the mic for like 30 minutes after being inducted, do it. Be fun. Maybe he'll talk about the Tigers again, like this. For the benefit of audio listeners, it's a picture of the Undertaker in a pool with a tiger. And they're both looking very cool. And this is from their charity work, which again is very inspiring. But it's just a fun picture. It's just the Undertaker going, "This is a tiger." It's like, yes, Undertaker, but it's a tiger.
So,
all right.
Okay, so it's a genuine question now.
Mm.
Who do you think / you want to see induct him?
That's a good question. There's quite a few. I mean, you could make an argument for Glenn Jacobs to do it because obviously,
Knoxville.
yeah,
Or Knox County, sorry.
not Mayor of Johnny Knoxville. Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville, world champion.
Johnny Knoxville inducted the Undertaker. There'd be a freaking riot.
you should just be going and say, "Yeah, I'm here to induct the Undertaker." Yeah, that's it.
Remember that time he broke his face? I've done that.
He got set on fire. I've done
that.
He's been in a coffin, so have I. I don't think he has actually. But no, I think Kane would be a good shout. Mick Foley would be a good shout.
Yeah.
Some of the legends would be good shouts. Maybe Stone Cold.
Can I make my proposal?
Go on.
Vince McMahon.
I mean, I part of me kind of thinks it may very well likely be Vince.
Yeah, not necessarily. So I should clarify. It's not necessarily I want to see Vince McMahon do it, but I think in terms of someone who could emphasize from a business and personal perspective how most loyal of a servant, for want of a better phrase, the Undertaker has been to the history of the WWE. I think Vince McMahon would almost be a right choice to do it.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are other people, like even Bret Hart might be a great person to do it, for example. Someone of that caliber who talk really well about them and whatnot. But in terms of someone who has basically been there the entire time, the Undertaker has been there, and the various probably trials and tribulations that have happened, I think Vince McMahon is a good candidate for that. Like you say, Mick Foley is a logical shout. Kane is obviously a logical shout.
They could do like if they really went for like, we're going to make Taker the sole inductee this year. And again, there's a good case for that to be the case. You bring out numerous people. Bring out Foley to tell stories. Bring out Austin to tell stories. Then then Kane, and then finish off with Vince. So basically, some of the important people that he's had big important matches. I mean, heck, if Brock was up for speaking, Brock would be a good person to do some talk as well, because they've had some big matches. Obviously, we've had the streak ending, but then you've got like their really physical battles, like in the SummerSlam afterwards, with the famous Undertaker laughing meme. You've also got the two Hell in a Cell matches is really kind of intense as well. So it's like there are again, even Edge.
Yeah,
Edge has had some good matches. Even Batista's had good matches. Cena's had matches. It's like you could possibly
good plethora of people you could choose from.
You could cultivate a really good sort of memory lane induction side of things before Undertaker comes out. And if you build it around, and if you build it like that as a 2-hour tour thing or an hour and a half thing of just saying of celebrating the Undertaker's career, I mean, for a character who's been in the WWE for 30 years, I think it's pretty much earned, to be honest.
Another person, or another way you could just do it, if it were hypothetically here, was what if you treated it in the same way that you do a comedy roast? Not obviously to roast the Undertaker, but it's a way to get multiple people to speak about someone, and then it ultimately concludes with him giving like his speech. If you do it that way, that could actually be really good fun.
And then he choke slams everyone. And just says, "That's what you get for calling me." That sort of thing.
So yeah, it's really cool. Undertaker is going in, regardless of what you do or don't think about WWE's Hall of Fame. Undertaker's one of those people who you're like, yeah, they're in.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean they're not? What do you mean they're not in? Kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think regarding even with like sometimes tribal warfare between fans online and stuff like that, I think something I hope a lot of fans can really agree on is like Taker is legendary. And it's like, I mean, even only seeing him, because I went to the recording of Raw in 2015 after Rollins had just tore his ACL and had to relinquish the belt. And the show finished with Taker and Kane carried on their feud with the Wyatt family. And it's like, yeah, it wasn't like a match or anything, but to actually just see Taker in the ring, complete with the dong and the full kind of entrance side of things, it's kind of like a bucket list thing for a fan, really. I think the only other small little bucket stuff at the top, I think the top one must be for me kind of being in an arena when John Cena comes out, but that's just me. But in terms of Taker's up there as well, and I think to be able to actually just see the entrance or be in the auditorium or the arena when the entrance happens and stuff like that, even if it's just for a little bit, it's still quite special. It really is.
Yeah, I think I've definitely seen Undertaker at least once live. I want to say it was when the Shield were really hot and they did a UK tour. And on that Raw, it was Kane and The Undertaker versus the Shield.
Yeah.
It might have been Danielson involved in there as well, Daniel Bryan, excuse me, in like a 6-man tag match. But I remember that being a thing. And I think there was like a follow-up match on the SmackDown taping the next night that I saw, which may have been Taker and Dean Ambrose. I don't remember fully off the top of my head, but I've definitely seen him at least once.
Yeah, I was there for the SmackDown recording that happened on the next day. And basically it was like just for the arena side of things, where basically Wade Barrett had come out because the previous night Wade Barrett had got into a fight with Wayne Rooney in the Manchester arena and kind of lost that fight. So he came out just being all annoyed and sulky about it. And then Taker just came out and tombstoned him and just said, "Stop talking." It's like, "You're annoying everyone, Wade. Shut up."
So yeah, really, really cool that Undertaker is going in. And from there, everybody, we are going to now start to bring this edition of BunkaMania to a close. I believe next week, Ian, if memory serves, it will be our Revolution preview episode.
Yes.
So that will be Wednesday, 2nd of March from 7:30 p.m. UK GMT live here on Twitch. The week after, we'll obviously be talking about what happened at Revolution. And then come like mid-March, because I know we originally had like a video games episode planned a few weeks back. We're going to try and dabble into that come like mid-March, because at that point, the new 2K game will be out. So that kind of seems like an appropriate time to probably start doing something related to that. So we're sort of going back and forth on a few ideas, but I know you've got something up your sleeve you're thinking of currently.
Yeah, I have to admit, looking at some of the behind-the-scenes videos that they're sharing, it's like, I'm confident at the moment the game is definitely going to be miles better than 2K20, which is no mean feat in itself. But there's some stuff that I kind of would like to kind of play and dabble with. I like the idea of seeing GM mode again. Maybe we can do a special stream on the Twitch channel where we are trying to, as co-managers, try to run our own brand of WWE and see how that goes and kind of go. So it's like you can actually do your own custom manager. So if we were doing like a head-to-head thing, we could do like a custom character of me and a custom character of you. It's like you can look after you. What brand would you want to run?
I don't know why I almost default to saying NXT UK just to be like, you
can run NXT UK in the game.
Yeah, I mean,
because a good portion of the roster's on it.
Walter, that's all I care about.
No, you mean Gunther?
No, I'm sorry, Gunther Walter.
Well, that means I'm just gonna have to. Now I can't run 205 Live now. It's now NXT Next Level Up.
What?
Yeah. Oh no, I have to break the news to Jeremy that 205 Live is gone, and now we have NXT Level Up.
They couldn't think of a better name than Level Up.
But you're leveling up to 2.0, and then you go to the roster, and then
because look what happened the last time someone did that. Budget cuts. That's all I'm going to say.
That's the NXT 0.5. You go 1.5 to 2.0. The level up system doesn't work in. I know.
I mean, hey, look, you know what? We may come on to that another day. But everyone, thank you very much for listening and or watching and joining us, be you live or on the pre-recorded archive, as it were. Thank you very much for checking this out. If you want to find out more about Bunkazilla UK, make sure you check out the Twitter and Facebook. You can search for Bunkazilla UK on Twitter, search for Bunkazilla on Facebook. You will find more information there. And of course, if you feel so inclined, like we said before, on your podcast platform of choice or on your video platform of choice, be it YouTube or Twitch, why not give us a follow and or a subscribe if you feel so inclined, or leave us a rating if you'd like. We would really, really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And if people would like to get in contact with us in another way, sir, is there another way they can do that if they would like to?
They certainly can. They can email us over with Bunkazilla at... No, not Bunkazilla. Let's do this bit again because I've got this wrong. It's live, baby. We'll wing it. So if you'd like to contact us via email, you can do so by sending your communications to BunkaMania at bunkazilla.co.uk. That comes through to us, and we can get your wrestling thoughts. Tell us what you're looking forward to about Revolution. Are you looking forward to WWE 2K22? And what do you think will make Wrestlemania 38 the most stupendous thing in the world?
More than 38 minutes of wrestling.
There definitely will be more than 38 minutes of wrestling. I will be shocked if we have an 8-hour weekend marathon of wrestling from WWE and we have but 2 hours of wrestling. But knowing WWE, that's what could possibly happen.
Your words,
stupendous,
not mine.
Stupendous.
So before we sign off completely, let's just make sure that no critical news is broken while we've been on the air, because
there's looking very briefly, there is talk about a potential appearance from someone on Dynamite tonight. For the sake of not spoiling it for people, I'm not going to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
But in other news, Rikishi's getting his own comic book.
What?
Yep, this is media production company Anime Hip Hop has circulated a press release announcing that Rikishi will soon be the star of his own comic book called Kishi and the Island of Dreams. It's set to release this summer. That's the news that's popped up on Ringside News just now.
Oh, there you go. Now you'll get to see Rikishi. I wonder if you'll get to see Rikishi's posterior in comic form, forever etched into the pages of comic time.
It kind of has looking at the picture I see on the website at the moment, it kind of has like an Avatar Last Airbender vibe to it.
On that note, everyone, we're bringing the show to a close. I don't want to think about that whatsoever.
That was his. You just really like that was his. I was like, no, Ian, don't you say those things. Don't you say those words.
Ladies and gentlemen, from myself, Jeremy Graves, from him, the Dekker Dane, Mr. Iain Boulton, thank you very much for checking out this edition of BunkaMania. We'll be back next Wednesday evening, that being the 2nd of March, 7:30 p.m. GMT, live on Twitch. Until then, take care and speak to you soon.